All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome to art class, my beloved friends.
That's quite
Um,
ambitious.
this is our Pinktopia art class. We hold this every month. Um, so, I guess I'll start with why do I teach art classes?
That's
I do this every art
very
class. You would think I
ambitious.
would know. But I have been an artist for many, many years. I am old and frail and wrinkly. I am a freelance digital illustration artist. I have done lots of illustration for Pinktopia. You'll see my art all over the Pinktopia website. You can
And so
see an example of
my
my art up on
goal
the
for
screen
today,
here. I'm pretty much everywhere. I do emo artwork. I do like stream assets, like overlays, all kinds of stuff. I designed my own dating sim. It's a independent dating sim called Project Cassiopeia, and I did all of the background art and the sprite art for that, the UI stuff. I just love art. And my first ever job as a kiddo was an art teacher at an art gallery, so this isn't my first rodeo doing art classes. So that's why I do this.
100%.
But before we actually get into the art class itself, I have a few announcements that I would like to make. Some very excited and exciting announcements. A lot of them are Pinktopia based. Um, I am in the process of introducing new art class staff. I will be having two teaching assistants in the future. Dreamer and Rocky. Dreamer has showed
I've
up
already
to many
married
of
you
our
at
art
this point.
classes. They are very familiar. They're very active in Pinktopia,
Whenever the
and
fuck
they
this
are
is.
also helping me with like monthly prompt stuff. They're helping me a lot with our Pinktopia art stuff. So everyone give a big round of applause for Dreamer, who's not here right now, but we love you, Dreamer. I appreciate you so much. And also our moderator, Rocky, has also
It's so
wanted to
right.
join me
Really
in helping with
quips.
art classes. Now, this is big news because having
Yeah.
assistance with my art classes will open up a lot more opportunities
What's
for
going
me.
on?
I will be able to take care of, kind of being the face, while my assistants can kind of help me with gathering resources and stuff like that. So, speaking about the future of our classes, I'm considering going into VR chat teaching as well. We have quite a few VR chat
I
classes.
got
Our
the
ASL classes are
sauce for
held
this right
in
here.
VR chat, and we have STEM classes. Um,
Let's see.
so I would like to be able to do that, and that would open up more interactive classes for you guys, where I can actually walk
It's
around
10%
and
good.
you guys can, paint. Like, we
Like
could go to
level
a
one
painting world and you guys
and
can paint and practice all the skills that I've
the
been able to
prequel.
teach, and I can walk around and provide advice as needed. So that's kind of where our art classes are going to hopefully start going. But we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I am still in the process of making sure that Dreamer and Rocky are comfortable and able. Well, I mean, I know they're going to be able, but at least comfortable to help me take care of these things. But the reason why we haven't started doing this immediately is because there's only so much that I as one person can do, and I am in charge of a lot of art related stuff here in Pinktopia. In fact, we just discussed today that I will be taking care of pretty much the art side of Pinktopia. So any art news will be, delivered by me. I already help with the monthly prompt. I'm here for a pinch hitter
Is
for art appreciation.
like
I
this.
have my hands all over the art stuff in Pinktopia. So you guys will be starting to see me popping up a lot more as like a figurehead of our art community, which is something I'm very excited about. I love our artists here. I love being able to support you guys, and give you guys the tools that you need to thrive and succeed. Especially me being an artist, I know how hard it is these days to be a good, to be a good to be a successful artist, I should say, because there's so much, so many of the social media algorithms are, really hating on artists. And one thing that I like about Pinktopia, one thing I like about being part of the staff in Pinktopia, is that I can help us artists have a healthy place to share our art, to get our commissions out there, and I'm very excited to be able to help you guys as much as I possibly can. For Pinktopia events coming up, we have Pink Stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. CST. I don't know what he's streaming. But just if you're a fan of Pink, which everyone here probably is, pop by, show him some support. We have weekly Minecraft hangout events with Ichigo on Thursday. It is at 5 p.m. They're super fun. Most of the time, I'm not even playing Minecraft. I'm just sitting there to hang out. But Ichigo is very helpful and very, very cool. And Jib, actually, in the class today, is the reason why we have a Minecraft server. So thank you, Jib. We appreciate you so much. Next art class is going to be the 20th of August. I don't know what we're teaching yet. That is asking me way too early way too early. I don't know yet. And then I would also like to remind you guys that we do have a monthly prompt going. Our monthly prompt for this month is beach episode. You can draw a Pinktopia mascot or you can draw an OC. Just make sure to adhere to our art rules and stuff like that. And lastly, I wanted to thank our new and old event staff. They've really been putting in the work lately, helping us with security, helping us with our art events, and we very much appreciate all of the help that our event staff is doing. And if you want to become part of the event staff, if Rocky or Alvi could grab the survey link, the application link. If you guys want to be event staff, apply, and we'll check out your application and we'll accept you for whatever we think you would be good at. Without our event staff, we wouldn't be half as good as we are today. We do so much here in Pinktopia, and we very much appreciate everything you guys do. And then finally, from me, I would like to thank all of my students here today, all of my students that are watching afterwards, all of my previous students. Without you guys, I wouldn't still be doing these art classes. I love teaching art classes. We had discussed this last week, that my favorite thing I do here in Pinktopia is teaching these art classes. I love them so much. I love being able to help you guys. And I want to thank you guys for your patience. I know this past class I've had to postpone it, and the class before it I've also had to postpone it. And I am very grateful that you guys are offering me the patience. And I hope that it's worth the wait. But thank you guys so much. You guys make me want to be a better artist so that I can teach you guys a little better. So thank you guys so much. And last but not least, we'll get into class in just a second. Last but not least, since I discussed wanting to do VR chat classes in the future, I edited a little outfit to have a teacher model of my VR chat model. And my best friend Sherry is actually working on helping me refine it a little bit. But that will be, I will have a teacher model in VR chat for our classes. On the topic of future, depending on how things go, I may even be able to increase how many art classes we do. We'll just wait and see. But I'm trying to prioritize maybe doing VR chat art classes, because I think that would be really fun and really interactive for you guys. But enough about me talking about all of the updates and announcements. We're going to go ahead and get into class. I'm going to take a breath for a second. That was a lot of talking. Also, I am reading the chat. I love you guys too. You guys are great. You guys make me want to be a better person. I love it so much. So, we are going to be talking about shading today. Now, as it is with all of my art classes, I kind of dumbed down a lot of my explanations to give you a baseline to work off of, to make learning a little bit easier. For me, when I was in school, having an overload of information was just too much for me. I like having a baseline and then being able to work off of it at my own pace. That is what I do for you guys, and that is what I'm going to do for shading. Because if I went in very deep about shading. We're going to be here for the next 4 hours, and let's be honest, I cannot sit here and talk for 4 hours. I just can't do it. So we are going to be breaking it down into 3 sections. So we're going to talk about light sources, values, and shading techniques, and we're going to go into each of these, break them down. If you have questions, I will stop after every section, just to, if we have questions or anything you'd like to discuss. So we're going to go ahead and move along. So our first thing, and probably the most important thing we're going to talk about for this class, is light sources, because you can't learn how to shade if you don't understand what light sources are and how to use them. It's very important. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, teaching these classes has helped me a lot as an artist, because it's kind of like brushing up on the skills that I don't normally think about. So that's why I try to make these classes good for new and old artists. And of course, if my fellow artists in the chat have any suggestions you want to give people, absolutely feel free to do so. This is a completely healthy space, and I want everyone to feel excited to learn. So I'm hyper fixating on the Lion King. You're going to see some references. We're going to laugh about them. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. So, light sources. Light sources is the most important thing to know about when you are shading, because without light sources, your shading is going to look all wonky. It's going to look weird. So a light source is plain and simple, where is the light coming from? If you're outside, your light source is going to be the sun. If you're inside, your light source is going to be your lamp or your ceiling light or the dull glow of your PC monitor if you're a gamer in the dark like I am. So anything that provides light is going to be your light source, and different light sources have different effects. Like I have on this source to the right. I had to hold up my right hand. I don't know my directions. Don't ask me math or anything like that. Art is my forte. But if you look on the right, I have put down a source with different lights. The moon lighting is going to have a cooler lighting. It's going to be softer. The sun's going to be a little bit harsher. They've got like stage lights, narrow light, if you're like under a tree and the sun is peeking through the leaves, and then candlelight. So like candlelight is a good example where it's a little bit softer, because candlelight isn't harsh. When you think about your light source, how harsh is that light? The sun hurts your eyes. That's going to be some harsh light if you're out there in the sun. The moon doesn't hurt your eyes, so it's not going to be as harsh, you know. Does that make sense? So let me make sure I got this stream set up correctly. Awesome. So Dreamer, I put Dreamer on some great assignments. Dreamer found this great beer. Please don't do that, Alvy. Please don't. Love you so much. Please don't do that. Don't burn your retinas like that. So Dreamer found this great resource, and by the way, after class I have a art class forum where I will put this PowerPoint in there, and you guys can look back at this PowerPoint anytime you want, including the sources that I have included. Let me find that forum real quick. It is in... There we go. It moved. Look at the PowerPoint, not the sun. It's bright enough. Okay, so this is a really cool resource because when I play it, it shows, and you can stop the light source, and you can use that as a reference when you're shading. Very cool. And you can move the head around. So depending on your, depending on like the perspective, it's very cool. Like I said, I will link this. It's linked into the PowerPoint. However, I also want to show you guys a really cool resource as well this site called Pose Maniacs. I use it very, very religiously. If you go, we're just gonna pick any, we'll pick this pose. If you go to any of these posing sites or whatever, they will also show you, you can play with your light source. Like, let's do split and we'll do intensity. And then you can use that as a resource. One thing I want to remind you guys, do not ever be scared of using references. All of your favorite artists use references, myself included. References are a tool to help you, not to hinder you. So those are good. I will link this site into the art class. Sorry, Rocky. I'll link this into the art class forum as well. So let me go back into full. Oops, went back ahead. So you can use lots and lots of resources to help with shading and stuff.
Fully decorate the second area. I only leveled up the people, and they got all.
Trying to think if there's anything else I need to discuss on light sources. I think that's it. So I went ahead and stole some of my examples here. Now, I have a favorite light source. I have a favorite light source, and it is very, very obvious. I always take it from the left, which I found out a while ago. Yes, light can, we're going to talk about that, but light can bounce off of sources, which is a very cool effect, but we are actually going to get into that. But I found out a fun fact. So if you're left-handed, which I am, hello, your favorite light source is going to be from the left. So if you're a right-handed person, your favorite light source might be from the right. So I found that out a few days ago, and I was like, huh. And then I went and looked at my art, and I was like, huh, I see. So that's a fun little tidbit. So now we're going to talk about values.
I'm trying to focus on the first.
Before I get into that, do you guys have any questions about light sources? Do you want me to expand on anything else? I'll take a break from talking for a second. Also, wow, I have 12 people in class today. I feel so popular today. Thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate it. Oh, several people are typing. That's good. That's good. That's one thing about me. It's kind of a hindrance that I have a favorite light source, though I am trying to play with different light sources nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to values. Hi, Pink. So values is we're gonna kind of get into the specifics of what shading is and how you're going to break it down. When discussing values in art terms, values means the darkness or lightness of a tone or a color. If I went into tones and saturation and stuff like that, we're gonna be here for 4 hours. I can't talk for 4 hours. We talked about this. So we're just going to very basically talk about colors. If you guys want more in-depth explanations, like I said on the thank you, Pink. Like I said, I will be linking the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint has sources from very good articles that go in more detail than I am. So absolutely, like I said, check out the PowerPoint whenever class is done and over. So when you are shading, you have 4 categories of shading. You have the extreme shadow. That is your darkest part, aka the part of the kingdom that Mufasa does not rule. As he says, we rule over everything the light touches. So that's going to be your darkest color of the entire piece. Now, when I do my art flow, I shade by sections. So let's say I'm working on my hair. My extreme shadow is going to be the parts where the light absolutely does not touch. There are some instances, depending on the surface, where I don't remember who said it. Let me look. Bendy. Bendy said that light can be bounced off of surfaces. Think of a ball, which is a very basic way to practice shading. The bottom of the ball is where that light bounces off, and that is your extreme shadow. So in some surfaces, you're going to have that bounced off light in the extreme shadow. Then you're going to have your moderate shadow. Thinking about it in a color view, it's going to be slightly lighter than your darkest shade, but not light. It's still going to be dark. This is commonly used to add depth to whatever you're shading. Like you can see on my example here of this hair, the darkest part here added depth. And then this second part here is the moderate shadow. That's where some of the light kind of starts to poke through. Then you're starting to get into your lighting, your moderate light. Now, I kind of cheat with my moderate light, where my moderate light is just my base color of whatever I'm working on. But if you want to go an extra mile, you can add another color as your moderate light. I just don't like things to be super bright, but that's just my workflow. So if you guys want to cheat like me, there's a pro tip for you. And then extreme light is where your light hits directly. Let's use Alvi as an example. She's gonna go stare at the sun. The extreme light's gonna be on her eyeballs. That's where the brightest bit of the eyeballs is. So her face is gonna be very bright. And then it's where you'll have your highlights and stuff like that. And pro tip from your favorite artist, when I am transitioning between moderate and extreme values, I use blending so that it adds a bit more depth to whatever I'm shading, which I did in the hair shading. I especially like to do that in my hair shading, but that's my personal workflow. Be smart, don't be like Alfie. Just waiting for the I hate it here. Teehee. Okay, so I went and grabbed a slider example because me personally, I like to visualize my things. So when you look at a slider, hair is more shiny. Yes, hair is one of those things that Bendy mentioned that light will reflect off of because it's nice and shiny. So you may have some lighting in some weird spots. Don't worry about it. Trust your gut. It's going to look beautiful. Everything you guys create is going to look beautiful. I know it. I've seen it in the future. But a slider is a really good example to visualize lights. So the very far left side of the shader is going to be extreme light. The slightly middle where things are lighter is your moderate. Your moderates, whether it be light or shadow, and then extreme shadow is going to be all the way to the right. You can play with this depending on how much you want your piece to be dark. If it's an intense light, like again, Alvi staring into the sun, you're gonna go all the way to the right for whatever color you're working with. Same with the light, you're gonna go all the way to the left. But let's say Alvi is being smart and sitting under candlelight, then you're gonna you're gonna play with it a little bit to where it's not so intense. This is where softer light comes into play, and you can just play around with it. My best advice with shading is just play around with it and get comfortable. Just I can sit here and talk for hours and hours about shading and stuff like that. and I'm here to give you a backbones, but until you actually get in and attempt shading yourself and practice and continue to practice and continue to practice, it's not going to get any better, because shading is one of the hardest things as an artist. Even me, with my many, many years of art experience, still struggle with shading whenever it gets to a harder part. It's always a learning process, and practice is my best advice for you guys. Also asking for opinions from your fellow artists. Even if you guys just want to bother me and DM me and like, Moon, do you have a suggestion for this part that I'm struggling with? Or let's say I ask Alvy, I'm struggling with this part. You know, you can ask your fellow artists if they are okay with helping you, and sometimes having a second eye on your piece helps a lot. I've had a lot of pieces where I'm like, oh, it looks good, and then my artist friends will be like, you need to fix that, and I'm like, oh, dang it, you're right. Yeah, that's another good way. Take some random objects, put them together, and see how the light affects them. Perfect. Love it. Absolutely love it. Good assistant, Rocky. Also, if you guys were a little bit curious, we're not going to go super into it because we went into it in the last class, but these other sliders are saturation and light. So that's where you're going to get your pastel or your darker shades and stuff like that. Shading a circle is the best start. I know it's kind of boring, but shading a circle is your best thing. We do have Dreamer prepared a nice exercise for you guys to practice some shading techniques, which I will show. But yes, a circle, just draw a circle, pick your light source, and just play around with it. That would be that. Thank you, Bendy. Bendy be giving us opinions, and they're good opinions. Okay, this is where we're going to be starting to talk about, look, it's a circle. Look, Bendy, it's like you looked at my it's like you looked at my PowerPoint beforehand. Look at you. So a circle, this is what a circle practice would look like. Let's say you're shining a light on this circle. Your lightest part is right here where it points out the highlight. The halftones here mean your moderate lighting.
I got it.
And they this is your extreme dark, and then this is your moderate dark, and then there's your reflected light. It's literally broke down into all four of the parts that we just discussed. So I would strongly urge I hope this is more fun than college art classes. I hope I'm making it more fun. Yay! I'm gonna take a break for a second. I'm so glad. Thank you, guys. I'm really excited to be able to do more interactive classes with you guys. I'm really excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for the future of our art classes. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so this is like, I told you guys I had sources for everything. So you go and click on this source, and this article is very great, and it has a lot of practice and goes in depth about a lot of different things. So when I link that, when I link the PowerPoint, you guys are so nice to me. When I link the PowerPoint, you guys will be able to check out this and all of the other resources that Dreamer has gathered for you guys. Everyone, give a big shout out to Dreamer. We appreciate you so much. Okay.
But believe it or not,
all right. Before we move on to our last section, do you guys have any questions about values? Anything you want me to go into a little bit more depth? I'm going to take a break from talking for a second. Sorry about that, cat. Yeah, we're kind of slapping some info down.
I wish you luck.
If you guys need me to slow down and uh, just chill out a little bit, just let me know. Uh,
Fuck.
okay, just making sure. Just making sure.
Sweet.
Like I said, this we chill over here. Yay! I'm glad you guys enjoy my classes. Makes me happy. I live to help my fellow artists. That is my favorite thing I do here. As I discussed earlier, I love teaching art classes for you guys. Love it so much. I love being able to support you guys. It is my biggest honor being able to support my fellow artists and to help people learn that they can do art. You could do art as long as you pick up a pencil and start trying. You can do it. I believe in you. Am always in your corner. Always, always. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last section, my favorite section. I'm so excited. Yes, I love moonlighting. Moonlighting is so nice. Being able, once you get more comfortable shading, being able to do lighting in different colors and stuff like that is so fun. You can have so much fun with shading when you are comfortable with it. And I'm so excited to see you guys grow and have more fun with it. Dark blue shading is nice. I personally, now this might just be bias, I like pink shading. Pink shading is so fun. So fun to do. I also like golden shading, like evening sunlight, though one of my favorites, absolute favorites. Okay, so we're going to be talking about shading techniques. This is where it gets a lot more fun. We're going to be talking about the big shading techniques: hatching, cross hatching, cell shading, blending, smearing, etc. Just the big ones, but you can have lots of fun with it. Let me click back into this. Okay, so how can I put everything that we just talked about into practice? Very easy. Just do it. Just get into it. Start doing it. You can have lots and lots of fun. You're not locked to a single style. You can mix and match all kinds of them. One of my favorite artists when I was younger did cell shading and hatching, and it was beautiful. I still strive to do that to this day. So we are going to start with hatching and cross hatching. This is I believe it's used quite a bit in oil painting. A lot of very old oil painting artists use cross hatching to create kind of an interesting texture. And I believe, now this may be, I don't know how accurate this is, but a lot of old easels were very scratchy and already had like the kind of lines and stuff. And I believe it may have originated from that. I'm not quite sure though. I also call this line shading. I love hatching. Hatching is so gorgeous and beautiful, and I love it so much. I want to incorporate it a little bit more into my art, but with my style, it's a little hard. But my sketches, if you guys ever see my traditional sketches, I do a lot of line shading. But hatching is basically any type of shading that you have line, and then cross hatching is exactly as it says, cross. Like you go across, like you'll start with this first, You'll start with this first bit here, and then you add the lines. You can see on this I put here, you can see the cross hatching and how it looks. Sometimes when you're doing hatching for your lighter values, you're going to go just the single spaced out lines. And then as you go into a darker, you're going to use your cross hatching to create that illusion of a darker color. And this is a perfect example of seeing that progression, because this is almost like a hatching scale.
Wait, hold on.
Very
Why does
cool.
it say
Love
we're
it very
unlocking
much.
alpha trade?
This one down here is
No,
super
we're
awesome.
getting out.
It is so pretty. This is called contour hatching, but for the sake of simplicity, we're keeping it under the hatching, cross hatching, because I don't need to have 10,000 slides to go through. I just finished, like, I forgot what's in this slide most of the time anyway. I can't add more slides. But on the subject of contour hatching, our next slide, I'm going to call out Alvi because she is working on this very beautiful rose where she is doing contour hatching, which you can see where, I'm sorry, Alvi, I outed your art here, so I could zoom in and show you guys. But she is just, she's just adding all kinds of different lines and different shapes. And when you zoom out her art, it looks like the rose itself is glittery and the background looks like torn paper. It's very, very pretty. And this is just one example of how much fun you can have with hatching and shading, and it's very cool. It is very good. By the way, I'm going to take this chance. If you guys have a piece of art that you guys are really proud of, and if you think that it's something that I could talk about, whether it be from a previous class or a class I'm doing, let me know. Tell me you're okay. I actually asked Alvi if I could use this for our class today. But if you guys want me to use your art as an example, absolutely let me know. Show me what you want me to use and I will put it into our classes, because I want to spotlight our creators here in Pinktopia. I believe that you guys deserve a platform as much as I do, so I would love to be able to talk about your guys' accomplishments and achievements, because this is insane. I love this so much. And Alvi is just now getting back into drawing, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I would love to be able to spotlight you guys. So everyone give a round of applause to Alvi, because she deserves it. She absolutely deserves it. Thank you for letting me use it. You're the best. It's beautiful. Beautiful. This is another one of my favorite shading techniques, stippling. I have a really fun story about stippling. In my high school art classes, so we had about 5 or 6 art classes, and I really wanted drawing. Hey, that works out, Bendy. We had a drawing class, and now I am an illustrator. That is what I always have been. That's my forte. I like doing illustrations. But I went through every single art class we had, and then my senior year of high school, they finally gave me drawing class, and I was begging for drawing class my entire time in high school. So we did drawing class, and we learned stippling, and my art teacher had me get a black and white picture of our favorite celebrity. Now I was in high school, so I chose Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, and we printed them out, and we got the values mapped out. I know, I love My Chemical Romance. And then we had to stipple the entire portrait. So I unfortunately I don't have it. I wish I did, because I would have put it on this PowerPoint, but I did a complete stipple drawing, like you see this little raccoon here. I did one of Gerard Way, and it was so fun. I love stippling so much, but it is a lot of work. But it's so fun. It's a really fun way to shade, and it's also a somewhat simplistic way to help practice values, because I don't think without that stippling practice I would know so much about values that I do today, because it's a very simplistic way of looking at the darker parts. So with this raccoon here, these white parts are your extreme light. Absolutely wonderful. Cluttered lines versus minimal lines. So cluttered lines are going to be your darker spots. Let me go back to cluttered lines. I actually did an example. Let me go. We skip a little bit. So I very quickly did a little sketch traditionally to show you guys it in practice, because none of these resources are really animeified, and I know a lot of our artists here are animeified, so I wanted to show you guys that these work with anime. My lines are a little clustered in darker spots, while they're a little bit lighter in lighter spots, if that makes sense. But let me go back to what I was. This is another good scale of seeing your dots here. So the less dots that you have, the lighter it's going to be, and then the more dots you have clustered together, the darker it's going to be. Does that make sense? I honest to God want to make I want to do another stipple drawing. I think I want to make one of an anime man now, because I miss doing stippling. It was so fun. So stippling, it's a lot easier to do with markers, but you don't have to do a specific marker. As long as it's a fine tipped marker, you can do it. When I was in high school, I used a fine tipped Sharpie. But for the example that I just showed you guys, I got it for super cheap at like Michael's. They're Tombow markers. They have a fine tip on them that I was able to do a little bit of stippling. But your fine line Sharpie is where you're going to get your best stippling experience. But any fine line kind of marker. Because I strive to make sure that I suggest to you guys stuff that's affordable. I don't want to tell you guys to go out and buy like a super expensive Wacom tablet. Just do what your means can do. If you guys have Five Belows by you, Five Belows have a lot of good affordable art supplies that you guys can use. Stippling. Now with stippling, I have not really tried it. Digital art. So I can't really attest to how well it works on digital, but line shading works pretty well on digital, and so does like cross hatching and stuff like that. Stippling, I'm not sure how good it works on digital, but you guys are more than welcome to try it out. Okay, we're going to talk about cell shading. This is your solid shading. There's no blending. You're just going to pick your different colors and you're going to slap them down. I used to just exclusively do blend shading, and I think like 2 years ago I started doing cell shading, which I think works really well with my style, because my style kind of pops. You can pretty much pick whatever shading technique you want based on whatever style you feel like doing. You can mix and match them, kind of like Barbie's clothes, go ahead and mix and match them. But cell shading is more for like a pop effect, like Betty said, it pops. I pointed out some cell shading here, where you guys can see it's just a thick line that shows some depth. Now you can see here on her leg especially, I used some blending. And this is a fun way to see how I add. So I do some lighting as a final step in my illustrations. Like this is my idol Sona, so I gave her stage lights. So a lot of the lighter parts are where the light is falling and it's kind of bouncing off, like we had discussed. So you can have a lot of fun with After Effects and stuff like that. Okay, smear and blend shading. This is another easier way to shade. You're gonna have softer lines on this one. Blend shading is also a good like gateway. So you can have your cell shading and then have some blend shading to, the airbrush lighting. And I use blend shading a lot with like drapery, because it works really well with drapery, while I also use a little bit of it in hair shading. where some of the darker parts are going to go, but I don't want it to be super dark. And you can have different levels of softness. You can have just barely soft, like I have here, or you can have super soft, like I have in some of the inner corners of this. Does that make sense? Do these shading techniques make sense? Broken down good enough? Okay, great.
That's why I like cartoons more than fucking like real bullshit, because it's
Awesome, awesome.
display emotions and all
Okay,
stuff. I mean, I take
so
Fine Chopper for
that's it.
example.
That's all I
As
have
much
to
as
talk.
we meme on it, it's
Blur and
such a
smudge,
good
correct.
scene.
But let's say you're doing digital. If you take like a paper towel, or sometimes in my lowest moments, I use toilet paper. If you take toilet paper or a paper towel, you can smear your Q-tip. Q-tip also works. They also have specific like blend tools for traditional art. I don't like them, but you can have more control with those. I'm not the biggest fan of them. I prefer my good old paper towel technique, but you can also wet the paper towel. Just to keep it just digital, not just digital, and also talk about traditional. So, like I said earlier, I went through and I practiced all of these shading techniques that I talked about. You can see I made thicker dots, and these are the dots that I made with that marker I was telling you guys about. Very well, they have special paper, like watercolor paper would be good for the slightly damp paper towel method. But you guys can see here I used the stippling. Granted, I'm not going to lie to you, I drew this like 3 minutes before class because I was like, well, I kind of want to show them like it in practice instead of just talk about it. So, absolutely, Scales, thank you. I appreciate it. We're about to end anyway, so don't even worry about it. You ain't missing that. You ain't missing much. So I used cross hatching and then hatching. I didn't do cell shading because you guys already saw that I did cell shading. And then this is the example that Dreamer grabbed for us. So let me go ahead and steal that real quick. You guys can use this to practice some shading on these books. And again, like we discussed, just draw a circle and do that way. Go back here. And I will put this in the art class. Again, all of this is on the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint will be going in the art resources forum for you guys. But that's all I had to talk about on shading. While you guys have me, do you have any questions for me? Any class suggestions? Go back to this so you guys can make sure to keep up on. Jib, is there anything you want me to talk about Minecraft-wise before I end the recording? Or did I cover it pretty well? Okay. Sounds good. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end our recording, so if you guys want to ask me anything, like, off the record, you guys are good to do that.